viewers, welcome, or should I say bonjour, because today I've crossed the channel from London to the magnificent city of Paris. Hopefully you can see the Eiffel Tower just peeking out of the gloom here. It's not a very nice day, but I don't care because I'm going to be inside the magnificent beast behind me all morning, the Musée d'Orsay. Now, you might have noticed there's been a couple of cosmetic changes to this vlog. It's no longer called the Art Vlog, it's called Art Gallery Explorer. And the reason for that is simple. There were so many art vlogs online from wonderful people all over the world producing art that I tended to get a bit lost. This is in no way a rebrand or anything like that. This is purely a little tweak to make sure that people know what this channel is all about. And this channel is all about bringing you inside galleries and exhibition spaces across London, the southeast of England, and as today, well beyond. And I'm very, very emotional today because I'm going to be heading into the Musée d'Orsay in a minute, and this is where my art journey really began. When I was 15, I got the bus over to Paris on my own and spent hours inside this museum, which had only been opened at the time for 3 years. It was a really seminal moment for me, and I came out after hours and hours of looking at these masterpieces, absolutely buzzing. And if anyone who's been watching the art vlog for a while will know, I'm a big fan of Impressionism, along with other types of art as well. And I want to say a big thank you to all my regular viewers and those people who take time to comment on the videos. Now, the Musée d'Orsay, I haven't just come here for any old reason to have a look, even though the magnificent collection behind me would be reason enough. I've come here because it's 150 years since the very first Impressionist show back in 1874. Today, the Musée d'Orsay are putting on a recreation of this first Impressionist show. The exhibition is called Paris 1874, Inventing Impressionism. And I'm beside myself with excitement to see how many of the original works the Musée d'Orsay has managed to bring together. I can't wait to to take you inside. This magnificent Beaux Arts building you can see in front of you is the Musée d'Orsay. And it used to be a train station, would you believe? Gradually over time, its use became less and less, and it became obsolete, and it actually became derelict, and there was plans to knock this building down. Thank goodness it wasn't knocked down. Instead, in the 1980s, it was converted into a national museum to plug the gap between the old masters which are displayed across the river at the Louvre, France's magnificent collection of old masters, and the collection of modern art at the Pompidou Centre. The museum was opened in 1986 to much fanfare, and as you're about to see when we go in, it is a spectacular conversion.
And the Musée d'Orsay tells us straight up that the exhibition explores the making, content and challenges of a now legendary event, often considered to be the dawn of the avant-garde. And that legendary event was obviously the first Impressionist exhibition of 1874. But we were actually reminded that in 1874 there was no Impressionist movement, merely a series of artists, Monet, Sisley, Renoir, Degas, Pissarro, Bazille, who were developing a new style of painting which conveyed their own perception of the world. They'd envisaged setting up their own exhibition in the late 1860s, but the Franco-Prussian War intervened, tragically killing one of their number, Frederick Bazille. And it was only in 1874 that the rather prosaically named Anonymous Society of Painters, Sculptors, Printmakers, etc. set up the first Impressionist exhibition in this building, the former studio of photographer Nadar at 35 Boulevard du Capucines in the centre of Paris. And it's totally fitting that they exhibited at a former photography studio, because it was photography which set painting free and allowed it to experiment in the way the Impressionists did. The first main gallery space of the Musée d'Orsay show evokes the first room of the 1874 Impressionist exhibition, and in many ways is one of the least surprising. It's what I was kind of expecting. The artists themselves hung their own works across the exhibition space. There was over 200 works in total, with 31 artists exhibiting, and Renoir dominates this space. and we can assume it was him who set up this first room. As you can see here, all of these works appeared in the first Impressionist exhibition. And we also get to see a very modern painting here by Monet of the Boulevard du Capucines, looking down from the balcony where the artists exhibited. And you can see the hustle and bustle of the modern city life and Monet's rapid brushstrokes. There are also two works by Degas, and the strength of this first room is partly in the range of loans. These paintings have come from Washington, D.C., Kansas City, the Courtauld, the National Museum of Wales, as well as the Orsay's own collection. So you get a sense of a real special start. After that spectacular, but kind of expected first room, things get interesting in the second main room, entitled An Independent and Eclectic Exhibition. Because, yes, there are several works in this room by Pissarro, as well as works by Berthe Morisot, and Cézanne and Renoir. And in fact, the Cézanne, which you're about to see here, was a tribute to Manet's Olympia and truly shocked critics at the time. But as I said in the first room, over 31 artists exhibited in this first Impressionist exhibition. And while some of the names have gone on to be exhibited again and again in the world, others have disappeared from view. We see works by Attendu, for example, or Zachary Astruc, whose works, as you're about to see here, do not fit in any way with the style of Impressionism that we've come to know. The tweeness of works by Lepic, drawings of dogs, Jupiter and Caesar, could not surely be less impressionist. And we're reminded that paintings, the staple of Impressionism in our revision today, were outnumbered in the first Impressionist exhibition 2-1 by works on paper. There were 37 prints as well as sculptures, and of these prints, 3/4 were produced by Félix Bracquemond, as you can see here. We're reminded that the artists who exhibited in the first Impressionist exhibition of 1874 were often there because they'd been rejected from the Salon, that great centerpiece of the French art world sponsored by the state. And it's this that the exhibition then takes us to in what I think is a coup de grace. I was not expecting to visit the Salon of 1874, the very salon the Impressionists had set up against after being repeatedly rejected from it. And the paintings in this section, as you can see here, are packed together closely like they would have been when exhibited in the Salon. The subject matter and size of these initial works are historical, biblical, whimsical, and seemingly initially a world away from the avant-garde vision of the Impressionists. By showing the Salon, the exhibition reminds us just how radical and avant-garde the Impressionists were. This work, by the way, was one of the big hits of the 1874 Salon. And you know that this room kind of fulfills its brief of reminding us that the Salon was full of mediocre and, in some cases like this work, bad art. There's also the sheer number of works. They stretch into the thousands, and it must have been a feat of endurance trekking round the Salon, as Emile Zola tells us, compared to the mere 200 works at the first Impressionist exhibition. But then, just as your kind of preconceptions are confirmed of what the official government salon was like in 1874, the next room, the Salon War and Defeat, says that actually there were works of contemporary relevance. As I noted at the start, France had been defeated by Prussia in a humiliating war in 1870 to 1871. And Emile Zola, going round the exhibition, noted that the public were most enthralled by tragic scenes of the last war, which were allowed in this exhibition, having been banned from earlier salons. Although, interestingly, there's no reference to the Paris Commune, which had also happened very recently. And the next room, conferences, plays with our understanding of art history even more, because we're reminded that Manet, in many ways the godfather of Impressionism, rejected the invitation to exhibit at the first Impressionist exhibition because he believed that the Salon was the place to conquer. While this work, Bal de Opera, was rejected by the 1874 Salon, his Chemin de Fer was accepted and looks an incredibly modern painting with the steam and the colours, although it became a laughingstock of the Salon. We're also reminded that Eva Gonzalez, a painter of modern life who is represented here, did not show with the Impressionists. She stuck with the Salon, seeing one painting rejected, but this one accepted and hung on the wall. Surprisingly, 12 artists exhibited at both the official government salon and the Impressionist exhibition. I didn't know that. Donitis showed these works of Vesuvius at the Impressionist exhibition, but also put forward works for the official salon. And while this one on the Avenue de Bois de Boulogne was rejected from the 1874 salon, his more conventional piece, Dans le Blesse, was accepted and hung on the walls, so you could see him at both places, and this kind of takes away a bit from the twinge of rivalry. Similarly, Lepic, who you saw in the Dogs, who exhibited at the Impressionist exhibition, also exhibited this one at the Salon. I was sort of really enjoying having my own preconceptions challenged. And modern life as motif, a room, makes the point that both Impressionists and Salon painters use modern life as an inspiration. But while the Salon often adopted a moralistic tone, it's much more urgent than this for the Impressionists, who saw their art as a new way of seeing, capturing, and understanding an incredibly fast paced and changing world. The exhibition says they brought art and life closer together. And I have to confess, it was a relief to be back in the presence of some bona fide Impressionist greats like these works by Barth Morisot, having been in the world of the Salon, which I enjoyed in context, providing context, but didn't come to Paris to see. And this wonderful Monet from the Orsay's own collection is a highlight of this room. To fully understand the difference in approach between the Impressionists and the artists of the Salon, we're asked to compare two paintings, one by long forgotten Saint-Saëns and one by Edgar Degas. And whereas the Salon painting of a laundry worker shows her as being coquettish, sort of stereotypically a woman of easy virtue, in the Degas painting, you can see the pain and the sheer effort and exhaustion of the hard work. Even though these were painted at roughly the same time, they're like almost coming from two different worlds. And that's also true of these works by Morisot. Um, trying to show people in life as it really is and capturing that unique moment. And the show contrasts that really well. L'École de Plein Air focuses on the technique of painting outside, and the exhibition reminds us that the Impressionists were not the first artists to haul their canvases into nature. Landscape painting using this technique was displayed in the 1874 Salon. Daubigny, who you can see here, actually called his paintings impressions. This one was exhibited in the Salon, and he was a precursor to the Impressionists and supported them from 1874 onwards, putting them in touch with their own art dealer. But of course, it was the Impressionists who popularized the idea of painting outside, and it was particularly important to their practice because they were attempting to capture the transitory effect of light, of sunshine, of nature, of fog, of weather systems, and because the light changes throughout the day, they would sometimes actually have to take several canvases out with them to capture the truth of light at certain times during the day, and then retake these canvases out over the following subsequent days at the same time to fully capture honestly the transitory nature of light. And it's worth thinking about two inventions as well, which allowed them to develop this technique. The first was the introduction and availability of paint in tubes, and secondly, the invention of a new box easel, which made portability much, much easier. So this is a really interesting room for thinking about those developments and techniques. Then finally transported to the most famous painting of the first Impressionist show. This one, Impression Soleil Levant. And it was this painting which, through the words of a sarcastic critic, bequeathed the name Impressionism to the Impressionist movement itself. And it's a daringly almost abstract work. And Monet says, I was asked to give a title for the catalogue. It could not really pass for a view of Le Havre. I answered, put impression, and there bequeathed a movement. A more traditional show would have placed this first, but by placing it almost at the end, after we've looked at the work of the Salon and some of the non-impressionist painters who exhibited in this show, we're really able to appreciate its revolutionary nature as Monet breaks with tradition, capturing the fleeting effects of light as opposed to a concrete scene. It's a really powerful moment which reminds us how avant-garde the Impressionists were. A real treat and another surprise in an exhibition which kept surprising me was the final room, which focused on the third Impressionist exhibition. As Émile Zola said, in France, schools go a long way once they've been baptized. And there were 8 Impressionist exhibitions in all, from the first one in 1874 all the way through to 1886. And over 58 artists appeared in at least one of these shows. Pissarro was the only artist to participate in all exhibitions. Both Morisot and Degas presented at 7. Monet only actually exhibited at 5. Renoir and Sisley at 4. Manet, Van Gogh, Toulouse-Lautrec never exhibited at any. Obviously, lots of people sometimes think they are. But this last run focuses on the third of those shows in 1877. And the Musée d'Orsay exhibition argues that this was a true coming of age. Because unlike the hodgepodge of the first Impressionist show, which we've seen so much of in this exhibition, here they exhibited as Impressionists. And there was such a high quality and a much more cohesive style. Yes, the Impressionists were always going to have individual styles and diversity, but the works, like you can see here with this Renoir, hang together much more. And so the show argues this kind of third exhibition of 1877 was actually a high point of Impressionism, and it's a great, powerful way to end the show as a whole.
Well, I'm back from Paris, art lovers, and I've had time to think about this show at the Musée d'Orsay. And what I'm going to do is break it down into the good, the bad, and the beautiful. The beautiful being the one beautiful work I would like to take home with me and have on my walls. But if we start with the good, the absolute highlight for me was the curatorial approach. The fact that the curators were really brave and they were prepared to bust our preconceptions about what the first Impressionist exhibition of 1874 was about. I suppose I had a rather naive preconception of this as these outsider artists who took on the evil salon of Paris, the government official salon, and then went on to conquer the art world and introduced avant-garde painting. And the exhibition says, hang on a minute, it's a lot more complicated than this. This movement started from messy, unpredictable beginnings before going on to becoming the all-conquering movement that we see it as today. So I really admired that. It would have been so easy on the 150th anniversary of the Impressionist exhibition, when Paris is obviously hosting the Olympics as well, to have a pure celebration. And that's probably what I expected going in. But it was a lot more than that. I enjoyed seeing the Salon. I commend the Orsay, Musée d'Orsay, for getting such a wide range of works from that first Impressionist exhibition as well. So I really enjoyed that. That was good. The bad thing about this exhibition was the crowds. I didn't mind queuing up outside for half an hour. Musée d'Orsay is one of the most visited museums in the world, as is the Louvre, and you expect that. But once in the exhibition, I do expect to have time to be able to appreciate the works. And I'm used to going to busy exhibitions because I work full time. When I go to exhibitions in London, it's at the weekend when they're often busier because lots of people visit them then, or sometimes in the evenings as well. And so I'm not one who shies away from business. And in fact, I enjoy busy exhibitions. I enjoy the buzz of them, but I do expect to be able to enjoy the work. So the busyness of this exhibition undoubtedly spoilt it for me. It was just oversold. The Musée d'Orsay, in my mind, sold too many tickets for this show, and it would definitely put a down on it. Usually in a busy exhibition, you find your rhythm, you can get into a rhythm with other art lovers, and you can enjoy the works as you go around. But this had people coming in from all different angles. People were frustrated because it was very, very hard to see lots of the works. The rooms were quite small as well, and some of the Impressionist works by their nature were quite small. So that was a downer, and I wish the Musée d'Orsay had sold less tickets. Maybe if you're on the if you're a Parisian or you're a regular visitor to paid exhibitions at the Orsay and the Louvre, could you post in the comments when the best time to see them is?
Clearly, the issue is it's €16 to get into the Orsay, and that includes the exhibition. So loads of people who go to the Orsay are going to want to go into the exhibition.
Whereas in London, galleries like the National Gallery, Tate, Modern Tate Britain are free for their permanent collections. And this means that some people will be satisfied with that. Whereas if you have to pay, you might...
Of course, you're going to want to go in.
Maybe that's why it was so busy, but it was unacceptable. It was a wet Wednesday. I don't know if that made any difference. But anyway, it was too busy. Well, what was the most beautiful painting in my opinion? Well, I was all smitten by Monet's Poppies. I love this. For me, it's a quintessentially early Impressionist piece. I remember seeing it when I first went to the Musée d'Orsay all the way back, and I still love it. And if I could have one piece of art for my wall, it would be this one. But I'm sure you disagree. Please post in the comments if you do, and let me know which is your favourite Impressionist piece from this exhibition. So overall, I'm going to be giving this show an 8 out of 10. I thought that the way that the curation went from the Impressionist to the Salon, back to the Impressionist, and then we had that treat of the third Impressionist exhibition at the end as well, or some highlights from that, really worked. I thought it was a brave curatorial approach. The crowds and the business of this show means that it can't be a 9 or a 10, but I did enjoy it and would recommend it. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Art Gallery Explorer and get out there wherever you are in the world and explore your local art scene.